Taking it back to where it all began to kick off year number 3, DR7 2024 from Houston, Texas. It's hard to believe that 3 years ago we started things off right here. The King Classic will be returning to the same venue to tee up year number 3. Ben Spicer joined by Marc Henry here live from Houston, Texas, where we have the DR Roundtable to start off 2024. Marc, a lot of excitement. Last year was our biggest one yet, but we're expecting an even bigger one this year. What are you most looking forward to about year number 3?
Well, listen, year number 3 is always, it's about coming back home. We're back, C, King. That's where we got it started. 2024 is going to be great. I can't wait. We got over 100 teams ready to do battle tomorrow. It's going to be great. The Crown 2024 is up. It's loading.
We've got plenty to talk about coming up with 2024, but before we get to that, let's take a look back at last year. The Crown, of course, DR7's national championship, and how that played out. Nearly 200 teams coming from all across the United States, and it was right here in Texas, in Round Rock. Let's look back at who took home all the championships from 8U all the way up to 18U. 180 teams from all across the country descended upon Round Rock, Texas for the Crown National Championship, with divisions from 18U all the way down to 8U, and the action did not disappoint. We start off in 18U, where KC Elite was looking to keep the crown in Texas as they took on the Jack Boys out of Louisiana. KC Elite was able to do just that as they capped off a perfect weekend with the win, pitching 2 shutouts in the process and also taking down Jack Boys by 30 points, 38-8. Tucker Parks was throwing it all over the park, and the KC Elite defense stood tall to win it all in one of the biggest margins of victory at last year's national championship tournament. In 15U, it may not have always been pretty for Iowa Flex, but one thing was constant when that clock hit 0. They were coming out on top. Over the weekend, Flex had 7 of their 8 games decided by single digits, including every tournament game being within 6 points on the final score. Their game against Free World Elite went back and forth throughout, but 2 pick sixes on the first 2 possessions gave them just enough cushion to take the 15U title back home with them in the Midwest. 14U saw the dominance of the Bay Area Buckeyes continue as they won yet another DR7 tournament in 2023. The Buckeyes went unbeaten on the weekend and unbeaten overall on the season in the DR7 circuit, as they also took home the Davenport event. They took down DEFCON Texas in a rematch from pool play to win the crown in 14U. The 12U ranks had another team continue their dominance from throughout the season, as it was 9-4-0 Elite with a perfect run in a stacked youth division. 9-4-0 survived a couple back-and-forth battles in the early rounds to wind up taking down the 8-1-3 Hawks by a score of 36-24 in the championship game. 9-4-0 Elite 12U also took home both of our Plano events, going a combined 11-1 in those 2 tournaments. Moving on to 10U, it was a newcomer on the DR7 scene that took the hardware. The CC Hurricanes, who we had not seen at a DR7 event all 2023 until the final tournament, made some noise on pool play day when they knocked off number 1 ranked Cat Takeover and ranked East Orlando Bombers in back-to-back games. They then proceeded to win every game by double digits on Crown Sunday, winning the crown and a paid bid to our events of 2024. Last up is 8U, and I saved the best for last on this one. That's because we had a story for the ages in this division. Our champion TTG was 0-3 in pool play with a minus 40 point difference. They didn't let that phase them when it mattered the most, though, on Crown Sunday, finding a way to beat Free World Elite in overtime and then topping high-profile athletes in the title game. The biggest event in the history of DR7 and DR Sportz, the Crown 2023 was incredible, but we're just getting started. Well, there's a look at the 2023 winners of the Crown National Championships from 8U all the way up to 18U. And we decided to get everyone fired up a little bit after the fact, Marc. We came out with our top 10 rankings, top 5 from 8U, of course, but all the other age groups had the top 10 teams from the season that played on the DR7 circuit. Let's kind of refresh your memory a little bit. Look at the top 5 from each of those age divisions. We'll start with 8U, where Marc, you see on the screen there, TTG Sportz, of course, coming out on top after that 0-3 start. It was really cool to see the 8U age division last year. I'm looking forward to the growth of that this year in 2023.
Well, TTG proved that it's all about Sundays. Whatever you do on Saturdays, almost non-existent. When you come to Sunday, you have to be dialed in. You have to be ready to go, and they took the crown home at 8U.
In 10U, man, the winner of this one, the CC Hurricanes, kind of came out of nowhere. We hadn't seen them at any of our tournaments, and they made us look foolish because they knocked off several of the teams that we had on pool play day and kind of took us by surprise, and then they continued that success into Sunday. But some really good teams in 10U, and this is the thing about DR7. We really look deep into those younger age groups, and we have competition from all around the country, from 8U all the way up to 12U in that youth sort of bracket.
Absolutely. I think, you see CC Hurricanes came out on top, but those were a plethora of teams that actually played very, very good. It was very close to the end, and the Hurricanes came out on top.
In 12U now, I think this, for me, looking back, was one of the hardest age groups to come out with the rankings on. I spent a lot of time watching the 12U teams last year, and we had some incredibly talented 12U champions in the road to the crown. And, of course, at the crown, a lot of those teams came, and it was just an all-out war. 940 Elite ended up coming out on top. They only lost one game on the DR7 circuit. They were a tough team, but when you go down looking 1 through 10, there are a lot of great programs in 12U ranks on that list.
Absolutely. The Tampa Bay Irish has been one of the programs that's been great here the last 3 years. But 940 Elite just was dominant. Like you said, only one loss. Shout out to my guy, Coach Dunn, over there with those guys. They do a great job. You'll see those guys on Friday nights in the very near future.
In 14U, the Bay Area Buckeyes, a team who did not lose on the DR7 circuit. Can't wait to see what they do this year, maybe making that move up to 15U. Not sure yet. We'll know here in a couple weeks when we go down to Florida. But, again, 14U, another really stacked lineup. You look at number 6, Grind Factory, a team who blew me away in Atlanta. You got number 7, the New Orleans Dolphins. So a lot of talent in the 14U as well. And as we continue to go up 14, 15, and 18U, you see the talent, man. I mean, it was crazy from 14U up.
Absolutely. Shout out to the Buckeyes from Tampa. They started out with us in Davenport, and they just really went roughshod through the entire tournament, resulting in a championship with the crown. The paid bid for those guys, so we'll definitely see those guys on the tournament this year in 2024.
On the 15U side of things now, Iowa Flex, man, they were a program that really blew me away at the crown. They came, wanted all the smoke, got all the smoke, gave everyone the smoke. We had True Buzz ranked number 1, and that's obviously a perennial power program. Several teams that kind of took us by surprise, too. Texas Vipers, I don't think we saw them up until the crown. They came and made some noise as well. Prosper Eagles came to our Dallas tournament. They looked really good, too. Several teams on that list that I'm really hoping to see, that we didn't see in year 1 that we saw in year 2 that I'm hoping we see back in year 3.
Well, listen, Flex was what Iowa did. That's a rough shot of teams that they went through, and they really, really dominated. All the way through the crown. They really came to Texas and made it really, really big. Free World's a team, organization that's definitely doing some things. And True Buzz is one of those teams nationally that you hear about, as well as DEF CON and Texas Vipers. So for Iowa Flex to come down and be dominant, that says something.
Now, wrapping things up in our final rankings from 2023 in 18U. Again, these are our 2023 rankings. Our champion, KC Elite, of course. Hustle Inc. coming in strong at second. This was another one that was really tough to rank because we had so many good teams that we saw throughout the year on the 18U ranks.
This was a really, really stout division from top to bottom. KC Elite came out with a senior-heavy team. A lot of those guys have gone on to sign with college programs as a result. Tucker Parks, is a guy we met as a freshman that played on the circuit as well. We had a talk with Coach Baker, which we'll see here in a little bit, about that program and winning a paid bid. That's something that was big for those guys. Hustle Inc. and Wall Street, 2 teams we got a chance to see for the first time. CM Naturals and Prime Truth round out that top 5.
It'll be interesting to see if these teams can earn a spot in the rankings in 2024. Again, that was a refresher going back to 2023. We just wanted to rile everyone up a little bit and remind you of those rankings. We've talked about 2023 now, year 2 for DR7. We're going to look now at 2024. But before we do that, we'll take a quick break here on the DR Roundtable Season Preview Show.
Let's go, man. Focus on the draw, man.
Hey, we've got a problem here.
This is Houston. Say again, please.
Houston, we have a problem.
30 seconds and counting. I cannot record it. Feels good. T-minus 25 seconds. 20 seconds. seconds and counting. 15 seconds. Guidance is internal. 12, 11, 10, 9. Ignition sequence start. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. All engine running. Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
We started off the show looking back at 2023. It's only right that we look at 2024 now with the man behind it all, the CEO himself, Johnathan Mumphrey, joining us now here on the show. Great to be back for year 3. Me and Mark were talking. We started here, CE King 3 years ago. It's hard to believe it's been that long,
Right.
but the growth of DR7, DR Sportz since then, it's been incredible. We had nearly 200 teams at the Crown last year. So how do you kind of build off that growth going into year 3 now?
Well, I think, first of all, thank you guys for rocking with me and dealing with me these past 3 years. I know that's been a challenge, but God send you those people that belongs on the journey. And we started CE King 3 years ago, like you said, Mark, and we had 30 teams. We grew. This weekend is just a total blessing to see 100 and I think it's 8 teams now. So it's exciting. So how do we grow? We just keep doing what the basics are, focusing on the customer. The customer is the parents, the coaches, and the athlete. If we keep doing that and make everything about them and the exposure for the athlete, the rest take care of itself. The growth happens because, you know what, if we care about the people and love on the people going to come and show love.
Well, everything that you've done to this point, it's been about uplifting. You spoke about the athlete. From your experience, where do you see DR Sports as a whole going as we head into 2024?
Well, the great thing about DR Sports as a company, DR Sports is many different verticals, Mark. We've talked about this before. We have an event side, which that's where a lot of people see us holding now is in the 707 with DR7. We have a media. That's what you guys do, media marketing and branding. So we can, based on our community, we can help any company to go and grow. As well as our education side and our scouting side. Our scouting platform is really taking a lot of, we call the platform Expose the Unexposed, which you're the leader of, is really, I think, taking the grassroots market to help these athletes get more exposure. Just circling back to the event side, DR7 is the main brand, right? But then you also have DR7 Bigs, which we're coming out with our Big Man Challenge. They need love, too. And then you'll see us roll out DR Flag. We understand that we want to take our model over into the flag business to be able to help those athletes gain a little bit more exposure. And we continue to do that. And, I think as a company, as DR Sports, we can help a lot of people gain exposure through many different verticals. So the future is bright. I think it's super bright. It's just a matter of us just staying consistent and in our goals and our mission, and it's just all about the athlete and the families.
Looking at the 2024 schedule, a couple new markets, new cities that we haven't been to, two that jump out, of course, Louisville, Kentucky, and Fort Lauderdale, Florida.
Yeah.
What was kind of the mindset in putting those two cities onto the schedule?
Absolutely. So, I've always talked about the Florida market, and I always talked about a triangular effect in the Florida market. We've been pretty much held up in Central Texas. Central Florida, we've been in the Davenport. We kind of dabble it over in Tampa. So we wanted to stake the DR7 flags in those markets, which they pretty much strong. Athletes come between them because it's not that big of a drive. And then you pull from Georgia and North Florida. So that's exciting. You know, we're starting to see people fly into Orlando from New York. Different other pieces they're starting to fly in. Texas is flying in now to the Davenport, Orlando area. So that's big. But you know, I kind of looked at we had no presence in South Florida. You know, South Florida, you got them dudes, you got that speed, you got that vertical. So just in looking at it, my vision behind that was how do we capture the South Florida market and show them how DR7 run events. So we toured with that in 23 going to Fort Pierce, had a good turnout. I think this Fort Lauderdale, being that Miami ain't that far, and if they really want the competition and want the smoke because other people come, they'll show up, and that's the exciting thing about that. Kentucky, man, I'm just be flat out honest. It's a total God deal. It's not because you used to live in Kentucky, Ben. But
I've been working him hard trying to get
absolutely,
him a
absolutely.
Represent.
So with the thing with Kentucky, you know, I was definitely, you know, you got to listen to your spirit, man. I mean, you know, I was focused on going to the Carolinas, and every door closed. Every door closed. Through prayer and woke up the next morning. Kentucky was on my mind. I made one phone call. He gave me one contact. Now we're going to be there for the next 3 years. So Kentucky, come on, up in the Midwest. We're going to be there for 3 years. We're just not planning to go and not come back. We're going to stay there till you guys grow your sport up there. So we're going to stake our flag in Kentucky market up there in Louisville.
Now talk about DR Sportz as a trendsetter. What are you guys doing behind the scenes? A lot of times, you know, people don't know what goes into trying to set the standard in the industry and how important that is as a brand.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I kind of look at us, Lanice and I, we've always been market disruptors since we got into the, you know, just a little bit about our journey. You know, we came out of college degrees from SMU in North Texas and didn't go in the corporate world. Nobody was doing that in 1990. You know, everybody wanted to get a job, and we're out there selling vitamins on the street corner. So we've always, I mean, God put us together, so we always been that. So when we started Total Athlete Sports, which is our foundation flag league, and we was all about developing the athletes, true youth development. And then now we're at DR Sports. Everything's with a Z. I don't know what that Z is going on, but we're there. And what we see is we continue to set the standard. We see where the market is missing, and we solve the problem. If there's a problem, let's be the solution instead of continue to repeat the problem. You know, I think so many people, they just continue to go and do what the same old thing. So we bring a little of our life and our experience, you know, what we used to do. We used to do big hotel meetings where we had 200-300 people. So you see how we're beautifully decorated. Miss Lanice has brought that into the DR7 world. So it makes everybody understand that we're family and it's not just a transactional thing. So I think that's how we continue to, you know, team up with companies that are doing some difficult things, changing the market. That's what Grit is doing. You know, those are some of the things that we feel like if we can be the first and lead that in everything we do, that's how we continue to grow the brand.
You mentioned it a little bit at the onset of this segment, just talking about the platform or other vertical and how it's grown. What's been kind of the thought process behind that? Where do you think it's at right now, and where could it be, you know, this time next year in year 4?
Absolutely. You know, we rolled out the platform, Expose the Unexposed, and I don't think we didn't make a fuss about it. We didn't make a fuss at all. We just kind of rolled it out in the Woodlands back in February of this past year, and the whole focus was there. Look, hey, these athletes, we know them. We can follow them year round, and we have relationships with them all across. They come to our tournaments. We can track them from 8U now all the way till they go to high school, and we can identify the next Tom Brady before the national media who's not paying attention to some of these guys until somebody is yelling their name. And so the behind the platform is, hey, let's go and cover these guys now, identify them now, give them exposure now. That's our mission. And then what we can do is, as we continue to throw the big 247 on 3, they got to come see them. So we tell people, come to DR7, come to anything we're doing. We're going to give you exposure if you ball. It ain't just, hey, you show up. You got to come be a dude. And we're gonna write about you. We're going to interview you. We're going to promote you on social media. And then what happens is your national platforms start to grab hold, and they start to go follow those kids and figure out what's going on. You know, the greatest thing that I've seen on our, you know, and Ben, you can speak to this, when saw Coach Napier at University of Florida following us. They had a great season, and hate what happened to them, but they had a great season. And you start to see college coaches that are following our platforms. Our platform team is doing an amazing job. Mark, you being Nick, Drew down in Florida, he's holding down Florida. I mean, got a great team. But the vision behind that is grassroots to national. And we see those athletes, and we will follow those athletes. You'll see our team expand this year as we go into 24, and they'll continue to cover those athletes on Friday night.
Now, as you head into year 3 of the Crown, 2024 is here, starts tomorrow. What can players, coaches, parents, anybody that attends a DR7 event, what can they expect to see?
Well, at the Crown, number one, throughout the road to the Crown, you're going to see the top elite talent in the country. We've seen that. We've seen the 4 and 5 stars. Everybody promote. We got all these top athletes. They come through DR7. But what I found, Mark, all the kids and the athletes and the teams that out here got all the brand and market, they can't win the Crown. They can't win the Crown. So if you're a dude and you got a team and, you probably be one of these big brands, been around 30 years, and come win the Crown. Quit running. They're running from the smoke. I mean, really, let's be honest. They come to the road to the Crown. They don't win. They leave with their head tucked, their tail tucked. I mean, because why? Why is that? Because they got a coach. They got to play. You just can't have a bunch of dudes run out there doing jump balls. We play football. And I know we don't use that anymore because we dedicate and respect, but at the end of the day, it's about showing up on the field. I heard you earlier talking about TTG. Those were 7-year-olds. People don't realize that. They'll be back this year to repeat. They went 0-3, but they got their mind together on Sunday. Come and win. And so the Crown is about, let's crown the best team in the nation. But if you don't show up, you can't be the best team in the nation.
Shots fired. I think that's going to be heard around the country. It's coming. It's going to go down. You want the Crown? Come get it.
I love it. Next up, we're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we're going to look at a new app that we'll be working with, Grit Network, and what they're bringing to the 7v7 season.
Let's go, man. Focus on the drill, man.
Hey, we've got a problem here. This is Houston. Say again, please.
Houston, we have a problem.
30 seconds and counting. I cannot record it. Feels good. T-minus 25 seconds. 20 seconds and counting. T-minus 15 seconds. Guidance is internal. 12, 11, 10, 9. Ignition sequence start. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. All engine running. Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
Welcome back into the DR Roundtable 2024 season preview show. Ben Spicer, Marc Henry, joined now by Bo from Grit Network. Bo, we appreciate you coming out. We're really excited to be working with you this year. Tell everyone out there that's watching a little bit about Grit Network, how you guys got started, and ultimately what the goal behind Grit Network is.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me on here. I appreciate it. Looking forward to a great event tomorrow. Grit Network at its foundation is fixing the issues in the recruiting system. The recruiting system is very archaic, right? And so there's scattered information throughout the entire industry. And so what the main purpose of Grit Network is to centralize recruiting data. So Grit's main purpose is to bring profiles and stats that are absolutely verified and they're registered, right? And so that way we have recruiters coming in as well in the future. And what they're going to be able to do is sort through all this data that we accumulate. And so football is our number one approach right now. 7-on-7 is mainly for football, right? It's a promotionary tool that these athletes use to go into football. And so we'll be the first ones to the market to be able to capture stats for these organizations. We've had a few issues with the bugs of the system that we're working through, as with any new system, right? But it's going to make us better and bigger, right? And right now, we are going to go tomorrow and we're going to start capturing the first ever 7-on-7 stats. And DR7's put their trust in us, and we're going to do that. And what we're going to do is we're going to bring it into a global profile where anybody can search through data, and all the recruiters have access to full data, because that's one of the main barriers is recruiters have to pay a lot of money to have access to data, and we want to lower that barrier. At the foundation of what we are promote yourself, athletes, parents, be in charge of your own data. Be in charge of your own destiny. Don't put your destiny in anybody else's hands. And so that's what the Grit platform is. And so as it morphs and it grows, it is going to be a major platform for data and for recruiters to be able to come for football and then eventually to other sports as well.
Now, Mump, we came down and met Bo a couple of months ago, and that seems like a great marriage. So much information, like Bo said, is going to be at your disposal. How does that help elevate things when it comes to DR7?
Absolutely. You go back to discussing about being market disruptor. So I've kind of been knowing Bo for the past couple of years, drove into his house several times, even before DR7 got launched, and that, saw his vision, and I'm like, if he can achieve it, it will disrupt the market. And so definitely being the trendsetters we are, we want to be a part of that journey. The great thing about how it's going to help DR7 is we will have official stats. And what do I mean by that? We will have live professional officials, referee, charting the games tomorrow. So it won't be, Uncle Bob or anybody charting the game. It will be officials, tassel officials that will be charting so we can give the kids. And then you got to stay tuned on how we're going to turn it up a little bit more. We got some more juice coming to help those stats, to help those athletes like Bo, to drive that traffic back to the Grit platform as they build their recruiting out. We want to be able to promote that, which in turn grabs what we come back to being, grabs that whole national media to see these athletes. It's tough for these athletes these days in the portal, with the portal. And so we got to all help them. And, Grit is service-led, they're a service company first, and their heart is to help the athlete gain traction. And our job our heart is to help them gain exposure. And so we're going to be able to do that together as a great team. Yeah, we got to work through things. That's anything new. That's life. But what I also understand about life, diamonds don't become diamonds until you go through the fire. And, that's what we're all about. We want to go ahead and kick the doors down. We don't like the status quo. And so Grit is not the status quo. And so we're going to continue to tread forward and have a great weekend this weekend with 108 teams.
Bo, just to circle back a little bit, talk a little bit more about the Grit Network app itself. How do you access that, and what's a sort of basic overview and how to utilize the app?
Absolutely. So right now, our entry into the market, we have a whole 5-year plan, and we've got development plans as we roll out. Our entry into market at this point is through 7-on-7. What you see in the 7-on-7 industry is you see different organizations have different rule sets, right? Some you like, some you don't. And so at this time, when you go to an event, if you haven't read over the event rules, especially for fans, it becomes a major issue, right? And, me being a fan, having a son that plays 7-on-7, you go to an event and you don't even know the score, because there's different scoring mechanisms, right, for different events. And so what we've done is we've developed stat keepers to integrate into player profiles, okay? And so our entry into market is to host these events, and in doing so, we provide integrated stats into the team profiles and the player profiles, which is really, really new in the 7-on-7 industry, right? After that, these teams are going to be able to have their profile sets they can go through, and they can look at other teams' profiles. But in the end of the day, we can do rankings. We're going to be doing rankings. And what we do is we're not doing rankings off of hype or anything. We're doing rankings off of legitimate analytic stats. And so that's kind of how we approach the market right now. And so our goal is to have an exceptional event tomorrow. When these guys walk out, the teams have stats, the players have stats, they can go around and start sharing. And so what it ends up being is a resume for athletes as they continue to participate in grit events or DR7 events, where they can just accumulate. And so we branch into football. They already have profiles. And we continue growing. And what it does, it gives analytics to a lot of what we're about to do when we can start saying, hey, reverse engineered, this is Tom Brady at his age, right? And so what it's going to do is going to help really start ranking these athletes, and then we introduce the whole recruiting sector, and we've talked to a tremendous amount of them. They're super excited about the platform, but it's really a platform for opportunity. But really, you can promote yourself in a social-based atmosphere, similar to a X or a LinkedIn for sports and recruiting. And that's the goal of Grit, and that's when we get to that phase. But we are in different phase sectors right now, and so this is our first one. We've had a few trial by fires, right? But it just makes us better and makes us grow better, right?
Absolutely. Well, I know I can't wait. I've been pleaded to Mump for rosters for years, so this is huge to me. I'm really excited to be working with you guys. Looking forward to it. We've got one more segment to get to before we close out the season preview show. We're going to take a look at paid bids. What does that mean? What is a paid bid? And how does it benefit your organization and program in the 7v7 circuit? That's when we come back here on the DR7 season preview show. Appreciate everyone tuning in to our 2024 DR7 season preview show. Ben Spicer, Marc Henry, Johnathan Mumphrey wrapping things up here on the show. A big thanks to everyone who's left us a comment that's watching us live on Facebook. If you're watching back after the fact, make sure to drop a like and share. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. We're expecting to do some big things on that. And follow us on social media as well. Before we wrap things up here on the show, we want to talk a little bit about paid bids. What that means and really what that is. So before we hear from KC Elite Coach Baker, Johnathan, can you tell us a little bit about what a paid bid is and sort of how it benefits your organization?
Absolutely, absolutely. You know, once again, it comes back from the servant heart. Let's give back. But, you know, we wanted everyone when we coming to the road qualify. Everybody used to do qualifiers, and they would do invite-only tournaments. But we're saying, hey, look, it don't matter what team you are, how long you've been, come to the DR7 event, win it, we will pay for your entry fee into the Crown. So if you win one, it just, gets your fee covered at the Crown at the national championship. And then the other thing when we looked at it just through experience, there's some people that maybe can't travel to some of our events, but they want to come to the Crown. So we believe everybody's elite and everybody can win any given Saturday, any given Sunday. So what we've done at the Crown is open invite. So we don't invite you to the Crown. You just pay your registration fee and show up. And what we know that on any circuit that has these exclusive events, that you can pay, as long as you pay your registration, they're gonna let you show up. Mm-hmm. So the great thing about when you win the Crown, you earn a seasonal paid bid, meaning that you can come to all 11 tournaments on us. Mm. So that's for an organization can be as low as $2,500 saving for the season to $5,000, $6,000 in season. So it's about us giving back and helping the organizations that come and compete. And so that's the great thing about it. And another part of that is with the paid bid from like this weekend, the runner-up at the Crown get 50% off for the season. So, you think about it. I mean, guys fundraise and they do everything they can, and they want to be the best and compete. We give them some great hardware, but we want to also help them out to keep the organization growing. So that's why the paid bid and the seasonal paid bid is around.
One of those organizations that will have a season paid bid is KC Elite from right here in Houston. Marc Henry got the chance to catch up with Coach Baker to talk about how that benefits the KC Elite program.
In 2023, KC Elite won the Crown and got a paid bid to play on the circuit throughout the season. What does that mean to you guys as an organization to have that paid bid to play on the DR Sports and the DR7 circuit?
It was great. That paid bid, it came with some challenges. That was a tough tournament we played in, and as for all, the DR7's tournaments, they're all, you got to bring it every game, and especially on that Sunday, and it was good for our kids to win that one, and because a lot of those guys were seniors, and that was a lot of those guys' last tournament that they played, and to go out on top like that, and to have that paid bid come back to the organization for the guys that are coming up, this season is huge, man. It's huge, So, the guys that are using that paid bid, they understand, what it took to get that, and hopefully they mimic the same thing that, the previous group did as far as getting back to that Crown. And it's going to be challenging because, the group is a young group, but, again, they see that paid bid. They say, oh, man, what did y'all have to do to get that paid bid? Hey, we had to grind. We had to work hard. We were battle tested a lot, and, we came out on top. So, with us doing that, hopefully that'll carry down to the younger guys, and, hopefully they'll mimic what the older guys did. And just that's how you just keep a good program built.
Well, we appreciate Coach Baker for giving us a little time. Again, KC Elite won the automatic bid to play on the circuit and go for the Crown in 2024. And Mump, just close us out and tell us what they can expect heading into 2024 as the Crown gets started.
Well, Mark, I think the great thing about it is the tempo has been set. The bar has been set here in Houston at Sea King tomorrow, starting out with a sold-out event, which is amazing. That was totally not expected, and it's some crazy talent in here this weekend. Guys that's been already committed or got really recruited by Ohio State top talent. So media needs to get out there. So, and I think that's going to continue down to Davenport. Then we go into the boot, man. We're really in the boot now. We ain't in the North Orange Beach in Ruston, but we're in the boot down in New Orleans and then come back to H-Town. February is going to be a big month. And, you know, you're going to see all kinds of crazy talent. So I think everything has been set. And then the Crown, I'm talking with teams in Florida. They're already getting their plane tickets and coming to the Crown. So, you know, I just tell people, encourage people to come and check us out at least one event and see what makes us different. And you'll come back, you know.
Year 3 is here, 2024 7v7 season for DR7. If you're coming out to an event this season, drop us a comment. Let us know what team you're repping. For Marc Henry, Johnathan Mumphrey, I'm Ben Spicer. Thanks, everyone, for tuning in to the DR Roundtable Season Preview Show.
Let's go, man. Focus on the throw, man.
Hey, we've got a problem here. This is Houston. Say again, please.
Houston, we have a problem.
30 seconds and counting. I cannot record it. Feels good. T-minus 25 seconds. 20 seconds and counting. T-minus 15 seconds. Guidance is internal. 12, 11, 10, 9. Ignition sequence start. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2,